Hello. I could eat about 1.5 million of these.
Well, nobody's perfect.
Welcome to the It's a Drama podcast.
Daddy, I love him.
My mother thanks you.
If you can't say something nice.
All right, Mr. DeMille, I'm ready for my close-up.
Hello and welcome to the It's a Drama podcast. I'm Liz.
And I'm Brian.
Why did you stop?
I haven't. This is the start. This is because you didn't know how to start. I'm Brian.
And today we are filling you in on what we've been up to in the last 3 weeks. Actually, I think it's nearly a month. Can you believe that? It's nearly a month. The last time
Well,
you heard from
it
us,
feels like about 6 months.
Yeah.
But it is only a month, isn't it?
The last time you heard from us, we were sitting on our balcony in Greece. The kids were still with us. The car was still going well. And since then, we've had quite an adventure. The car blew up.
Well, it didn't actually
Brian,
blow up.
It did.
Did it?
Blow up, yes.
Well, it didn't. It could have blown up.
You're just saying that. But anyway, yes, it did. The car...
It didn't actually stop.
Excuse me. Did it or did it not stop working on the motorway in Calais? Yes or no?
Yes, it did. But
Thank you. Right, can I carry on?
Yes.
Right. The car blew up. We got to England and we got a massive bill at the end of it.
Huge bill.
And that's why we haven't podcasted.
Liz hasn't been able to talk for the last 3 weeks.
I can't. I'm only now just coming to my senses. We're going to tell you at the end of this episode how much that bill was and how we got around it and where you know where we are now. We're in Italy. How we got to be in Italy house sitting.
Yeah.
So, yeah, let's go. Let's.
So here we are in Porto Santo Stefano.
Yeah.
Yep. It's a bit of a name, isn't it?
It is a bit of a name, yeah. So, like I say, the last time you heard from us, we were sitting on the balcony in Athens. Since then, should we just say what we did? We took the kids back to Athens. End of our holiday in Paros.
Yes.
We had the most glorious month in Greece.
It was fantastic, wasn't it? Absolutely. Met some fantastic Greek people. Had a great time with the kids. We had Finlay along as well, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. A ferry back to Athens.
Yeah.
Or Athena, as you should say.
Mm-hmm.
And then we took them. We had one night together. We met up with some of my family over there, some cousins.
Yeah, that was really nice.
The kids' cousins, my niece and my niece and her boyfriend.
Yeah.
Or fiance, actually.
And then we dropped the kids at Athens airport and we set off. So what it was is the kids wanted to go back to the UK and spend time with their family. And because we're little granny grunts and can't stand to do anything without the kids, we said, we'll drive back to England and we'll be with you when you spend time with the family. We'll all spend time with all the family together. And yeah, we were going to, or we did, our plan was to drive back through Europe and meet them 5 days later in the UK to spend 2 weeks together as a family.
Yeah, it was a little bit longer. It was 9 days later.
Was it?
Yes, it was, yeah. Because they flew out, I think, on the 28th of June. And
right.
we were getting back on the 7th.
So we leave Athens, we put them on the aeroplane in Athens and they fly back to London and go and do their things. Sonny went down to Cornwall and Tess went up to Scotland with Finlay. And we are left in Europe to get back to the UK in our little red car.
All the way from Greece.
Yeah.
When temperatures around about 36 to 40 degrees on the way home. So it was really, really hot. And we needed to do a little bit of business in
A little bit of How's Your Father.
Yeah, a bit of How's Your Father in Venice, some filming and stuff like that.
Yeah, we'll tell you about that in a minute. That was a nightmare.
It was.
Anyway, so we get
we get
the ferry over from Athens. I'll tell you what. We're going to talk about this actually. We're going to do a separate podcast. We got the ferry from Athens to Italy. And you know when you get somewhere and you're like, it was just bliss, wasn't it, Brian? We booked a room.
We booked a cabin.
Which we never normally do. You know, we're always the ones that are sitting in those bloody uncomfy aeroplane seats in the lounge with the telly blasting.
Yeah.
But
and people playing music on Netflix or whatever.
But we said, no, we're going to book a cabin. And we got there, drove onto the ferry, really easy, really lovely. You know, it's like literally you just drive in and you go where the man tells you and you park your car, you walk up to the deck and you go to reception and get your keys for your cab. It's a bit like being on a cruise, isn't it, Brian?
Yeah, it was a bit weird, that first room they gave us though, wasn't it?
Yeah, you complained, didn't you?
Yeah, it wasn't very nice, that, was it?
No.
Because we walked in, outside cabin, thinking, outside, this will be nice. look, open the curtains, and there's all people standing there looking at us on the deck.
Yeah, well, we overlooked like the bar terrace, didn't we?
Yeah. So I went straight down.
You're not comfortable with that, Brian?
No, I didn't really like that.
No?
I didn't really think it was that private, really.
Yeah.
Because the curtain would have to stay closed.
Well, not necessarily, but go on.
Yeah, but you know what I mean.
So we went down and we changed the room. But after Brian had his little to-do with the reception saying that he wanted to change the room, it was lovely, wasn't it, Brian?
It was just, because that's what he was so excited about. Just, we've got a room and everything. You know, you can't do anything, can you, for the next, 24 hours almost, wasn't it?
No
or 18
Wi-Fi.
hours. Yeah, nothing.
Was there?
Yeah, it was just bliss.
It was just bliss. And the night, in the day, what we'd planned, because we'd spent the money on, how much was the cabin? How much was that cabin?
Oh, do you know what? I can't remember.
Was it about $200 New Zealand
It was
dollars?
probably about $200. Yeah.
So
plus the ferry. So, but it wasn't that expensive. I think it was. Yeah, I think it was about 200 because I think it was 135 euros. So whatever that works out to in dollars.
Anyway, because we'd spent the money on the room, and we said, well, we won't go and have a meal in the restaurant because we're not going to push the boat out that far. So we'd gone to Lidl's, the supermarket that's all around Europe. In case you're not from Europe, I don't know if Lidl's is in America, but anyway, we'd gone to Lidl's and we'd bought a few bits and bobs, hadn't we? And one of the bits and bobs that we'd bought was a family size tin of vine leaves because they were cheaper. They were cheaper than the little tiny.
But you know what? It was the only ones we could get.
Yeah.
Remember? Because the other ones had mint slam in them, and they were just one of the rice ones.
Yeah. So we had a big tin of vine leaves that was going to feed. It was a catering pack, so that fed about 500 people. And we had a pack of salami. And what else did we have? A little bit of cheese, did we maybe?
Yeah, we had
and some
cheese
biscuits.
Some whatever it was.
Anyway, we get on the boat. Oh, and we had a bottle of ouzo. We mustn't forget that.
Yeah. No, we didn't have. Yes, we did. We bought a bottle. We didn't take it on board with us though.
Didn't we?
No.
Oh, go away, fly.
Yeah.
What? Why are you saying this?
Well, because we didn't take it on board. We took wine on board. With the ouzo was left in the car.
So how did we sit on board and have a glass of ouzo then? When I'm just about to tell the story.
Because there's a lovely thing called a bar.
Oh, Brian,
And a waiter.
Okay. Oh, you tell the story.
Can you remember?
Go on. Yeah, no, you obviously can. Go on then. Off you go. Go on, carry on.
I was just about to say, what was your favourite bit?
Well, my favourite bit was drinking the ouzo that we took on board.
That's what you just thought my line for a change.
Oh, Brian. Anyway, we had a bottle of ouzo, but we left it in the car.
Yes.
And for some reason went and bought ouzo from the bar in the ferry.
But that's it, because once the ferry had started going, we couldn't go down, and we said, let's watch the ferry pull out. And we said, let's go and get a drink. And we got the guy, and he just gave us this humongous portion of ouzo and some ice and water and everything else, wasn't it? And they were lovely, the little waiters, weren't they?
Well, they weren't little.
The stewards, whatever they are.
They were quite tall, but yeah.
Yeah, they were. They were bigger than me, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they must be big.
But it was nice because we got into the room, like I say, all white crisp sheets, 2 single beds, perfect.
Yeah.
Room.
There's actually, you can have 4, there's 4 beds in there, isn't there?
Yeah.
Which is great, because they're all bunks above, but they're all folded up.
I know, we figured it out. We were going to go around the boat and offer 2 people a room for a small cost.
Backpackers for a little bit of money. No swinging.
But anyway, we decided not to and stayed on our own instead. Yeah, and we just put our bags down. It was like, right, let's go on deck rather, and let's just have an ouzo and sit there. And it was just great, the best.
It was brilliant.
I think it was just after the relief of saying goodbye to the kids and getting them onto that aeroplane in Athens and everything. Anyway, we went back to the room in the ferry and we didn't open the vine leaves because it was like, well, what we're going to do with 500 vine leaves? We're only going to eat 1 or 2.
No, because we got the steward to bring a little bit of room service up, didn't he?
Yeah. We got the room service and we ordered, I think, a portion of fries and a Greek salad.
A Greek salad, yeah.
It's nice, that, wasn't it?
It was.
Yeah, really nice.
Yeah, it was.
But you know what? We were saying when we were on that ferry, we've been on a cruise once in our life. We're not big cruising people. And once, when Brian turned 40, I think I've told you this before, I booked a cruise for us to go to...
Norway.
Where was it? Norway.
See the Northern Lights.
Yeah. Flipping fortune that cost, Brian.
Yeah, but it did.
What did you get me for my 40th? Hi guys, this is Liz. If you're enjoying this podcast, then I'd love it if you considered signing up to my weekly email newsletter. This is a newsletter where I send out all the details of what's going on in our lives with the kids and with travel. And right now I'm in the middle of writing a book about traveling the world with the family. And I share all the details, the good, the bad, and the absolute hilarious. I don't share this with anyone else, only the people that have committed and signed up to my email newsletter. If that sounds like something you would love to do, and you'd like to get to know me better, then sign up after you've listened to this podcast by going to www.itsadrama.com/hello. That's www.itsadrama.com/hello. I really look forward to getting to know you better. Okay, let's get back to the show. Seen that cost, Brian?
Yeah, it did.
What did you get me for my 40th?
Probably just me.
Right. Anyway,
Lucky
for
you.
Brian's 40th, I booked him a cruise to the Northern Lights. And
What did you get for your 50th?
this,
Six months away, was it?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, right.
I booked us a cruise, and I've got to say, again, I know I keep saying it, but I think I'll just do a podcast just entirely on this episode, on that subject, because it was a bit weird, wasn't it, Brian, the cruise?
Yeah. The cruise was very weird. Lots of bingo and lots of Scrabble.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
oh no, I liked the bingo, but just quite. I don't want to say pompous, but pompous, really, wasn't it, Brian?
Well, it was like being in Butlins on the sea.
No, Butlins is not posh enough for this.
Well,
This was really posh.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. It was that type of feel, wasn't it? It
Yeah.
was like they had their own TV channel and interviewing guests and things, like, you know.
they?
Yeah, they did. You put it on, and
know
then
that.
remember those two people that would walk around and they were always saying hello to us, like, you know. Yeah, there's a blonde-haired lady and the guy.
I don't remember
You
that.
don't remember?
No, I don't.
Yeah. And they would always be introducing the shows and things at the start. They were
Oh,
like
right.
I don't know what they call them. They were like the two celebrities for the boat, whatever it was.
Oh,
I don't
okay.
know.
Like the
But
two hosts.
The hosts.
Yeah.
Yes.
Anyway, we were sitting on this ferry and going from Athens to Italy, drinking our ouzo, looking out at the beautiful view and the sea, and everything was really calm and lovely. And we just said to each other,
Should we get another ouzo?
"Shut up, Ryan." We said to each other, you pay a fortune to go on a cruise, when really what you could do is buy 4 tickets, one way to the other way, one way the other way. In fact, you just keep going all summer, couldn't you?
Yeah, you could just keep going backwards and forwards because it doesn't really matter. It's the sea at the end of the day.
Yeah,
Isn't it?
and it's only costing you like $300 a time.
Yeah.
And I know it's only 24 hours, but you could just, that's a nice cheap way of doing it, Brian.
It's not much different because when you go on a cruise, you have like a sea day, don't you? When you've got to get somewhere, or 2 days of sea days. Because we went from Norway to from the UK to Norway, right through the North Sea and everything. It took literally 48 hours to get there, and then you do other cruise days where you're going up the coast, and so it's no different, is it?
No.
And well, not being funny on the cruise, it's a bit weird, is it? Well, we should save that.
I know, but that's what I was going to say. There's lots of things I want to talk about on the cruise.
About why not to go on a cruise.
Well,
because you actually lose your identity on a cruise, don't you? You become a number.
Oh.
But let's talk about that another time.
Anyway, we get off the ferry in Italy, nice and refreshed. We'd had our lovely, we weren't hungover or anything, we just got off the ferry and we're ready to drive up to Venice. So we get in the car, we're driving up to Venice. The car was running beautifully, wasn't it, Bri?
It was very, very hot that day, wasn't it? You had to climb out the front seat and get in the back because it was so hot. It left me in the front frying.
Do you know what I've noticed, Bri, about you? Is when I'm telling a story and it's got a positive tone.
Yes.
You like to just...
Well, it's because I've been in England.
No, but what I'm saying is we drove... It was a lovely drive,
It
wasn't it, Bri?
was.
Up
Yeah,
to
you
Venice.
said how easy it was, wasn't it? It was like...
Well, it was
just
easy,
like,
yeah.
It just zoomed by.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yes, I did have to climb in the back because the trouble is, when you sit in the front of the car and you're driving, which way were we driving, south or north? Brian?
We were driving north, Les.
Yeah, driving
Yeah,
north. The sun is coming down onto the left-hand side of the car where I'm sitting. And I said to Brian, please can we open the sunroof, Brian, because I'm absolutely roasting. And he said, no, because it's burning my little legs. And I looked down, and sure enough, his little legs were getting redder and redder. So, as a result,
Someone saved me.
As a result, I had to climb in the back, sit behind Brian,
Yeah,
and be
in my
the shade,
shadow.
in Brian's shadow.
Yes, there you go.
Yeah, so that was that. It was a nice drive up to Venice.
So it was only it was around about 900 kilometres that day. It was a monstrous drive with no air conditioning and everything else.
But what I'm saying is the car was going really well. It was. And I said to you, exactly. And I said to you, car's running well, isn't it, Bri? And you said, yeah, it is, Liz. And it's always the bloody way, isn't it, Bri? Anyway, we won't get onto that yet.
No, we won't.
We get to Venice. We've been to Venice. How many times have we been to Venice now?
3 times.
Yeah. Or this is our 3rd time, I think. And we got to Venice, and I don't know why, but we were just both in a really cranky mood. We got to the Airbnb, and I'm not joking, it was flipping horrible, wasn't it, Bri?
It was pretty crap.
You booked that, didn't you, Bri?
I booked that because it was probably one of the only things left, and Liz was saying, we're not paying more than $140 a night, or whatever it was.
New Zealand dollars, no.
Yeah.
I don't know
think
why.
That was the cheapest. But it was but we were looking for a whole apartment type things, which had cooking facilities.
Yeah. And it said it had cooking facilities.
I don't think some places know what cooking facilities are. Like, I mean, a one ring thingy and not even a microwave or anything, and like some plastic pans.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work.
It was just terrible. But it did have one ring, and we were like, oh, okay. We turned up. It was the thing with Italian houses is they are, because I think it's because of the heat, maybe. They're just very dark, aren't they? They've got very.
It was nice inside, wasn't it?
But it was horrible.
That big vaulted sort of beam ceiling and that huge beam running through the middle.
They had that cot next to the bed, that creepy cot.
Why did we have a cot next to the bed?
I don't know, but honestly, it made me feel weird. It was just like.
Maybe they've seen a picture of my little legs.
She got next to the bed. It was like, oh no, I don't like it. It was just weird.
But it was half dismantled, wasn't it? And it was just like, and it had a huge bathroom, but it was just, and the air conditioning unit was, I don't know, it was the size of a matchbox on the wall. And this was a big room, wasn't it? It was just like, we left it on, it just didn't really do any difference.
So, when you walk into a place, and I didn't want to say to Brian, well, this is rubbish. What have you booked this for? I was trying to be nice. I was like, oh, it's not too bad. It's not too bad.
But we had to walk through little gates with the dogs barking at us and everything.
It
wasn't your idea of outside of Venice, was it?
No, it was like is it called a maisonette when you're above the owners? You're on the top floor.
A bit like a maisonette, yeah, but yeah.
Is that what it's called, a maisonette?
A maisonette has an upstairs and downstairs as an apartment. So it was just an upstairs apartment.
Yeah, and anyway, it was dark and it had small windows and it put us in a bit of a bad mood. It had one ring cooking facility. We tried to be positive and we're like, oh, come on, we can just go out and let's just get the stuff for spaghetti bolognese, because that's always our go-to meal. Whenever we, don't want to cook, or whenever we've got no money or whatever, it's just spaghetti bolognese will always cheer us up, because loads of Parmesan, which is cheap in Italy. You can buy a massive big block of Parmesan for about $3 or something like that. Mm-hmm. And we just was like, we'll get some fresh basil and we'll make this work. We'll cheer ourselves up. So we drive out, don't we, to the outskirts of where we were. How far out of Venice were we? We were quite away, weren't we?
We're about 40 minutes outside drive, or 30 minutes outside by drive. The reason why that was because we didn't want to drive into Venice.
No.
So we were close-ish to a train station.
Can you even drive into Venice?
You can. Yeah, well, there's like that big bridge that goes across, and there's a car park there.
Oh, that's right. We did that once before, didn't we? Where we parked outside, and but there's no way we would have done that because we're paranoid about the little red car getting nicked.
Yeah, because the boot or the tailgate didn't lock because the central locking was broken, and we didn't have a key there was a different key for some unknown reason.
Yeah. So whenever we got an Airbnb, it had to have private parking and off-street parking and all stuff like that, literally because we were scared of it getting stolen. So, we drive out and we go to this little shop and we're sitting in the car park. And then I said to Brian, and I could see it was open.
It was.
And I looked on the sign and it said open till 8:30. I'm sure it said open till 8:30. I looked on the sign, and anyway, I was in the car, and we were just about to get out, and I said, hands up, I know this was my fault. I said to you, oh, should we bother getting a spag bol? Or why don't we just go out and get a little pasta dish? Or, why don't we go and get something?
Because he told us a few restaurants, didn't he?
Yeah.
But, silly billies, you just think, I don't know, people sort of look at you sometimes, and when you ask for a restaurant, and they give you the best, most expensivest restaurant in the world for some unknown reason, as if like, why am I going to go eat there? Have you seen my car?
Yeah.
Have you seen one of
mine?
Well,
no, Brian, actually. Maybe they do look at your car and think, he's got a bit of dosh.
Well, no.
Who else can afford to drive around in a
30-year-old car?
Well, no.
French car.
You paid a lot of money for that car.
Yeah, I did, but...
Well, that's what I mean then. So they look at you and think you're rich.
Well, no, I wouldn't think so.
Wouldn't you?
No. Oh. Not with my little legs sunburnt, anyway.
Anyway, so we go out, we chopped and changed, and we're like, oh, no, well, let's just drive out and... Long story short, we go and check out this restaurant. We get there, we hate it. It's too posh. Oh, why are we even here? This is just stupid. Let's go back and get the spag bowl. We drive back to the supermarket, and the supermarket is now shut.
Yeah, but it wasn't closed, was it? There were people inside it.
Yeah, and he wouldn't let us in.
Yeah, no, we're shut. And you're like, yeah.
That's fair enough.
No, come on.
Brian.
Yeah, but it's like one of those things. In the old days, you used to, like, you'd knock on the door and they'd open it up for you, like, you know? Wouldn't they? That type of thing, like, you know? A bit like when we had a cheese pie at 2 o'clock in the morning, they got into bed to give us a cheese pie.
I don't mean to be...
in Greece.
I'm not being argumentative here, Brian, but it's not...
No, I'm just saying.
You've got to have a closing hour.
I know, but you just say, is it just something easy that you want? You just wanted a bit of mince.
I know. All he could have said was, what you after, mate?
We had passata tomatoes and all that. We had spaghetti. It was a bit of mince.
Anyway, the shop's shut. So now the mood again has just fallen to the ground.
It was a long day driving. Driving for 12 hours.
Yeah.
You know?
And I suppose we're telling you this because it's good for you to know that, because I know that from the outside it might just look like, oh, la, 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 we're just swanning round, everything's perfect. But there are days, sometimes more than one day, that you just want to rip each other's throat out and you're like, oh, this is just rubbish, it's just, you're hungry, you're tired, the shop's just shut, it's my fault, it's your fault, you shouldn't have booked the Airbnb, you shouldn't, we should have gone into the supermarket when I said we should.
Yeah.
We go back to the Airbnb and we're just like, fine, we'll just eat the vine leaves. So out comes the catering pack of vine leaves.
The humongous Lidl's pack.
And that's all we had because we'd thrown all the other stuff away. The cheese had gone warm and all the rest of it. And we just sat there. We're just in like this, sitting on this rubbish 2-seater couch, really low down couch in this dark room with a cot in the corner next to the bed with no baby in it and just eating these vine leaves. And it just felt like, oh, what are we doing?
Yeah, I know, because there was no table. There was a coffee table that was made up of things, wasn't it? With like a bendy piece of formica on it or something. I can't remember. It was just a weird place.
Yeah.
It really, really was.
Anyway, the next day we had to go, we wanted to go into Venice to do a vlog because, it's Venice, We're in Italy. We can't come to Venice. And...
You don't go to Venice every day of your life, do you? And I know when we did the round the world trip, we weren't doing much in the way of videoing, but we wanted to just get some footage and stuff like that.
And we wanted to share it with you. We were like, we can't come to Venice and not share it.
Yeah.
But we woke up the next morning and we were both still in this horrible, aggravated...
Tired would be the word.
Aggravated mood. And we only had one day in Venice and we're like, well, what do we do? I said, what do you want to do then? Do you want to film it or do you not want to film it? And Brian's like, no, come on, we'll just do it. And you'll see when that video comes out, that vlog comes out of Venice, because now you know the truth. We were just
melting, basically.
We were melting. It was boiling hot. And also we were melting with each other. We were like, when you're just at that very, very thin edge where one of you could really
Don't push it, lady.
Yes, where one of you could just really break and go. In fact, I think I did. Didn't I walk off in a huff by that fish market?
Yes. Yeah, you did, actually. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you actually must have taken some breaths and come back.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Because it was like, well... It was so hot.
It was aggravatingly hot. It was humid. It was hot. It was full of people. And it just wasn't really that romantic Venice trip, was it? Like, that you want it to be. Like,
has it ever felt romantic? In all the 3 times that we've been to Venice, have you ever... What?
Of course it was.
We don't know what I'm saying yet.
Oh, carry on then.
In all the 3 times when we've been to Venice, when was the most romantic
Well, obviously the first time without them kids.
We went there first without the children, once with the children, and now on our own.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I'm not being... None of them really were that romantic, Brian, were
really?
they? Why? What are you thinking?
Oh.
Go on.
What happened the next day?
What?
What happened the next day? So it's pretty romantic to me. Oh, what about... Oh, God almighty.
Come on, what? You didn't ask me to marry you the next day.
I did, actually.
No, you didn't, actually.
I did.
That wasn't me.
Yes, it was.
Oh, was it?
Yes.
Well, I remember that time was romantic, but the other 2 weren't.
Yeah. And you can't remember having that wonderful picnic because we had no money at the time.
Oh,
and we sat just at the side of St Mark's Square.
Yeah.
And it was like there was a whole bunch of like things with a piece of canvas over it.
Yeah.
And we sat at the top of that and looked at everybody.
Yeah,
walking over the bridge.
It was nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to say is sometimes these places that are
like
what's the word? Not dubbed, what's it called, when they're supposed to be the most romantic places in the world. And it's pressure, Bri.
Well, of course it is.
You go there and you're like, oh my God, why am I being so horrible to my husband when this is supposed to be the place of love? You know, and you sit anyway.
I know.
That's rubbish because
people
you see all
sitting
those. No,
people sitting on gondolas.
Sitting on their phones, aren't they, Bri?
Well, they're sitting on a gondola on the phone.
Yeah.
They're either filming themselves
or
one person's at the front and one person's at the back, and they're both looking into the phones.
I'll tell you what, if you've never been to Venice, the best thing to do when you go to Venice is find one of those little bridges that go over the canals and just watch the people on the gondolas. And watch them when they take selfies of each other. Selfies of themselves. Just watch their face when they put the phone down. It's flipping hilarious, isn't it, Brian?
It's just like, oh my God, what happened?
I know.
Super happy, look at me, and then bump.
Anyway, not like us, who was completely miserable apart from when the camera was turned on when we were doing our vlogs. But yeah, although I will say, at the end of the day in Venice, it was gorgeous, wasn't it, Bri? We found that lovely restaurant.
Do you know what? After the little tiff in the fish market, we decided, right, we've got to do something. We're either going to go to a restaurant or whatever it is, and we're like, you know. So you were looking for gluten-free places because
I'm not gluten-free.
No, even though you're not gluten-free, but
so what does that say to you?
It's just the ever-dying undying love, isn't it? Like, you know, of the gluten men.
Keep him fed, for God's sake.
He's not happy, is he? Little legs are getting tired.
What would you have done, Bri? You know, when I walked off in the fish market, because I was thinking about this.
Yeah.
What would you have done if I just walked off in the fish market?
Yeah.
And just, that was it, walked off. And
just walked off?
No. And just, I got lost in all the crowd.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have my, well, I did have my phone, but I would
You did, you had your Cosmot phone.
Yeah, but I would have probably had that switched off because I was in a hurry.
Which is a Greek sin, by the way.
What would you have done?
What would have I done? I would have got one of those little gondolas and had a little laugh. I don't know. I don't really know what I would have done. Well, yeah, I never let you stray too far from the eye, that's why.
Don't you, Bri?
No.
I
have to watch it out for you, you say.
Even when I march off, if you've always got one eye on me.
Yeah, I know. I can track you on your phone where you are.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Anyway, so the day ended nicely because we went out for a meal in Venice, right by the canal,
but
and it was gorgeous.
One of the best bits was like we had a couple of beers from that little.
Alcohol always does it, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Brian?
a couple of some gluten-free beers. I hadn't had a beer for ages. It was so hot, and we got some really nice little things from that little shop. He was a really nice guy, and not only that, he gave us the best advice of like, oh, most restaurants are gluten-free, but go down by this canal, and you'll find some lovely little restaurants. And it was honestly, that was the place in Venice. It was like being in London almost, wasn't it? You know, like you go to, was it Carnaby Street or something like that? It had that feel of like, this is the place.
Yeah.
You know, like
we're
it was
in the right
60s.
place. For change, we're in the right place.
Because of that jazz bar, wasn't it? With those people playing jazz and they were just jamming with each other.
Yeah.
And the woman came out and said, oh, these guys have never played before. Like, you know, and it was just like,
it's all fairy lights.
It was lovely, wasn't it? Like, you know, I wish I could go back there right now, actually.
We are definitely going to do a podcast about that.
Yeah,
because
there was, you know, singing waiters and all sorts.
Yeah, the waiter just suddenly started singing this opera.
Yeah, because there was a guy coming along with his accordion, wasn't it? And going from like restaurant to restaurant, and he just popped to ours, and next minute the waiter just starts singing some opera, and it was just like, wow, what's going on?
He was lovely, wasn't he?
He was lovely, yeah. It was really nice. And then, you know, the guy with the accordion walks off and goes, like, you know, and he, you know, it was just part of the entertainment in Italy. It was fantastic, wasn't it?
I think the tip here is if you're listening to this and you're thinking, oh, Venice, you know, should I, shouldn't I? Go to Venice, but just, I don't know, just for a start, don't go there thinking that it's got to be the most romantic thing in the world. Well, you might go there and think it is romantic, I don't know, but personally,
it is. It's romantic.
Why?
But it's
What's
gonna
romantic?
cost
Why
you
is it romantic?
Fortune, because you think it's romantic.
Exactly, but why is it romantic? Why?
Because I suppose because you've seen all the films and everything like that. James Bond films there and this and all
Where's
those.
the most romantic place in the world you've ever been, Bri? No pressure.
God, I need a podcast for that.
Does anywhere just spring to mind where you just think, oh, this is so romantic. I love it here.
Greece, probably.
Yeah.
The island of Paros. Just, you know, that was the summer of love, wasn't it?
Yeah,
it was great.
it was.
96.
And also, I think Yeah, I was going to say, I think romantic places are romantic because you have special memories of them, and you know,
it's what you see it as it yourself. I know if you if you turn around and say, oh, you know, like what's a romantic place, like, I don't know, Acapulco or something, I don't know, Venice. When you get there, there's, like you say, you know, Paris in the spring.
Yeah.
It's just like it's a city.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
not,
right.
But Paris was gorgeous, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That time we went to the Eiffel Tower.
Yeah, but no, not the Eiffel Tower.
No, I'm just
Not the
saying
Eiffel
that
Tower.
time you know why I said that? Because I remember a picture of us in the Eiffel Tower.
But if you sit in a little side street in Paris
Yep.
and drinking a coffee
Yeah,
early
that
morning,
was the same time, wasn't
and
it?
it's, yeah,
Yeah.
that's romantic. And I was just thinking then, I remember sitting in a dandelion field once in England,
Yeah,
and
which
we
is
had a
gorgeous,
picnic
wasn't
and
it? Yeah.
bottle of rosé and French stick, and that was romantic. It was just like, I don't know. It's,
Whatever works for you.
it
isn't
is. It is, yeah. But if you are going to go to Venice, just find those little, just get away from the crowds and find those little back streets and send me an email and I'll tell you where that restaurant was.
Stay away from the main canal, St Mark's Square. Yeah, I mean, go and see it, but
Yeah.
just like don't eat in them.
No.
You know,
Oh,
because
God,
you're just
no.
going to get ripped.
Yeah.
And it's just going to be the usual stuff.
Anyway, we're going on, aren't we? Let's
Yeah,
move on.
we're
What are
30
we doing?
minutes on.
Yeah. So pushing on then. So we got the train home that night from Venice, and that was lovely, and it all ended well. And then the next day, we drive in the car and go to France.
Yep. So we don't want to go through the big tunnels and things because they're like anything from €50 to €100 to get through. So we decided that we wanted to go to a place that me and you went to. You worked a ski season in Montgenèvre, and we spent actually New Year in Briançon together, didn't we? Before I went back because I had a job to go back to in England and left you in the ski season. Stupid
Yes.
fool. Anyway.
So we went to Briançon.
So we went to Briançon, and we had a lovely little apartment there,
You have
Which-
to cut that bit out, Bri.
which reminded us. Wait, what bit?
I just said, come on.
No, it's all right. Not staying then. Jeez, Christ! If you're 30 minutes in, you're not going to mind that. So we. It's not YouTube, you know. Anyway, we had an apartment, and it reminded us a lot of the apartment we stayed in Dunedin. We did a vlog there, didn't we, once in Dunedin? And it was a gorgeous little apartment. We had some work to do, but do you know what? We didn't bother going around Briançon because we had so much work to catch up on.
Yeah.
And we only had a day, didn't we? And we just
Yeah.
worked for like 12 hours, just sorting all stuff out.
Yeah.
Not only that,
Can't
trying to
even
book
remember
places.
what we were doing.
Just stuff, catching up after
Yeah.
having a month off with the kids, sort of
Yeah.
thing, wasn't it? Like I know we did a bit of work when we were away, but you know. Anyway, so we were in Briançon, and if you ever do that drive, it's Briançon to Grenoble over the Alps. You know, it's just a stunning drive, isn't it? Like, you know, an absolute stunning drive, and you know, it's just gorgeous.
It is.
You see glaciers and all sorts of stuff
Yeah.
up on the mountains and the waterfalls and all sorts of things.
But can I just say though, Bri, when we were driving,
Yep.
no, look at me, because I want you to see when I'm talking. When we were driving,
I'll just have a little bit more of my drink.
when we were driving from Briançon down to whatever that place is at the bottom, just imagine, okay, people, just imagine this road is just like circular. Like it's like
It's just like on days like this with Matt Monroe at the start of The Italian Job. Have you ever watched that?
No.
It's just like hairpin bends. and all
hairpin bends.
sorts.
That's the hairpin
Yeah.
bends. That was the word
Yeah.
I was looking for. And Brian decides to put the car to its test and drive. And I'm not joking, Brian. You decided to drive like a maniac.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did,
No, I didn't.
Brian.
No, I didn't.
Yeah,
I
I'm
wasn't,
sorry.
I wasn't exactly. It was maniac for you,
Yeah.
but not for me.
And I was clutching a hold of the little handle on the left-hand side,
Yes.
fearing for my life, actually. And I said to Bri, please slow down because I don't feel safe. Do you
Yes.
know what he said to me? Do you remember what he said?
Yeah, you shouldn't have married a GTI boy.
No, you didn't.
What
You said,
then?
what's happened to you, Liz? See? Everyone at home now, they're gonna know what you're really like.
Exactly.
What's happened to
What's
you,
happened?
Liz?
Hey,
And I
what's
said,
happened?
Brian, I'll tell you what's happened. I don't feel safe.
Yeah, I don't feel safe with those little legs pushing up and down
And you
them
were
pedals.
going like a lunatic. And to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if that isn't what blew the car up.
No, well, it wasn't because we weren't driving that fast. It just had some silly billy campers in front of us, and it's very hard when you're driving on the right hand side of the road in a right hand drive car and I have to rely on you. And it's like, unless you can see like 300 miles in front, I can't never overtake.
No, it's not safe.
No, it's not safe. I haven't seen a car for the last 2 minutes. There's one in the distance. It might be a motorbike.
Yeah, but it's better to be safe than sorry,
It
though,
was,
Brian.
yeah.
No, you don't want to be silly, but
I know.
it
But
was a lovely drive.
It's just one of those things. If you can do it on a clear road, it would be the best drive, and one of the best drives in the world. It really is, because there's some stunning bits. I mean, some of the bits you cannot drive fast on. You do get idiots driving fast on them, but some of the hairpins and the straights are just stunning to drive, like, and the views, and you're just like, wow, this is driving over the Alps, like.
Why do you like to drive fast around corners?
Because you get to feel what the car is famed for. That car is in the Hall of Fame. And why is it in the Hall of Fame? It's a front-wheel drive car. You don't really want to drive a front-wheel drive car around the corners fast, because they're not the same as the rear-wheel ones, which tend to want to push out. So these understeer. So this car just changes. The whole dynamics of the car change. It just becomes so light. And that's a passion that you'll never understand.
I won't. I'm sorry, I won't. But
it's
no.
just you just feel what the engineers made, how they made it, and how it works, and you just become one with it, and it's just very nice. It's very romantic, actually.
I was going to say, I've never heard you talking so passionately about anything in my life, to be honest. Especially you didn't talk about that passionately when you were talking about Venice. But anyway, so yeah, we drove down to France in the car that was driving very nicely.
Very, very nicely.
You've actually got tears in your eyes now, Brian.
Yes.
Tell me
honestly,
why.
It's some things do you, and it's just like when I took Tess out on our 18th birthday for a drive through the mountains in the island in Greece, and took Sonny out for a drive, and he just said this is like being in a James Bond film, because we were whipping around these bends and all this stuff, like, we weren't going overly fast, like, but it was just the way we were going around the bends that you can't do in a modern car, because they're so heavy with all the safety gear on it, and like, and it's just like, so this thing is under 1,000 kg, so it's just
a great
so
little
light.
car, isn't it?
It's just lovely, isn't it?
It is a lovely, lovely little car. It's comfy, it's squashy.
Yeah,
It's a squashy seat, but it like you say, it's almost like it feels secure. It feels like you're held in nice and tight, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's not a sloppy car, is it? It's not
No,
like
it's
where you
very
think,
tight, isn't it? Like,
yeah.
it just doesn't go roll from side to side. And it doesn't feel heavy, and it just so much power there. It's just it's great. And it's not the most fastest car in the world by any stretch of the imagination.
Well, it is when you were driving it down those bends.
Yep, round the bends it is.
Anyway, we drive down. We have 2 nights or 3 nights, wherever it is, or 2 extra nights in France. And I just want to tell you just a quick story because, we were staying in France with this wonderful couple in an Airbnb. We only found out they were wonderful afterwards, because we didn't know they were wonderful, because obviously we didn't get to know them because of what I'm going to tell you now. We turn up at this lovely Airbnb in the middle of, where was it? Was it a Champagne region or somewhere like that?
It was Chablis, the Chablis region.
Right, Chablis. And it's a
Chablis wine.
Lovely French, farmhouse. And
In the middle of nowhere,
In the middle of nowhere, yeah. And you could tell they were nice people the minute we turned up, because he came to the gate, the guy, and his dogs were barking, and he was all flustered, and he was French, and I'm sorry, my dogs. And he was when you just know someone is nice, and he's like shaking our hand, and I'll show you your room, and he showed us the room. And I don't know why, but because maybe we were just a bit, I don't know. That whole week was just a bit funny.
I think if you'd been there for 3 or 4 days, then you would. And what it was you're trying to say is these people hosted you for dinner if you wanted to. It was €25 each, and that included wine.
Yeah.
So it was €50, and on the first night you're just thinking, I'm tired. It's been a long drive again. We've just driven over the mountains. We've done a 600k drive through the heat and everything, and that's what we were thinking. We won't then buck, and not only that, you're always thinking, what if we don't get there on time, and we didn't get there till 6 o'clock anyway, did we?
No. And what if we don't like the people? So they'd asked us, the morning before, when you book it, they'd asked us on the booking registration thing, would you like us to cook dinner for you? And we'd said no. Actually, I'd said no.
It was a Monday night, wasn't it?
Yeah. And we got there and we saw him, and it was like, when you just know someone would be a really good cook.
He just looked a good chef, didn't he?
Their house smelled of food, didn't it? It just smelled of really nice food. It just would have been
brilliant. It was a gorgeous house, wasn't it?
It really was. It had like little, like red and white. I'm not being. It was literally red and white checked little net curtainy things, wasn't it? And pots of lavender everywhere, and you could see a big, massive red wine rack in the kitchen, and
huge table that you would have been
huge
eating
kitchen
on.
table, and all outside was fairy lights, and a big stone round table in the garden, and like I say, just lavender everywhere and jasmine, and you could see that they were nice people who enjoyed their food, and we were like, oh, damn, should have said yes.
Foolish fools. Yeah.
But instead, we went to the supermarket.
Yeah, but we said to him, didn't we, is there any restaurants? And he kind of looked at us. You know when someone gives you a funny look and you go, huh? Why is he looking at us like that? And he said, oh, you could go to this restaurant.
Because he was annoyed because we hadn't booked with him, that's why.
He knew.
He knew what?
He knew.
What?
Because he said go to have a look at the restaurants, didn't he?
Well, he knew what? I don't understand.
Well, that they were closed.
Yeah, he did.
He just knew,
Wasn't
didn't
that
he?
nice, was he, right?
No. And it was almost like he looked at us
Sly, wasn't
confused, as if like, oh shit, these people don't realise it's Monday night and all the restaurants in the whole town are closed.
That's right.
Yeah.
Because we were like cocky Annies. We were like,
we'll just go and eat somewhere.
Yeah, we'll go on our own.
We'll
and
get a pizza or something, anything, even though I can't eat pizza, but we'll get anything.
Yeah, we'll go in and get anything. And every single restaurant was shut.
Yeah.
And what you're saying then is you reckon he knew that, do you?
He didn't, because he looked so confused, as if like, I can't speak very good English. But it was just like, and he said, oh, I'll phone, actually, I won't phone them type thing.
Yeah, because they're closed.
Yeah, because they're not going to be open anyway. Because his wife said later, oh, no restaurants are open tonight.
Yeah.
As if like he didn't know.
Anyway, so we ended up going to the supermarket in France. By the way, if you've never been to France and you've never been to the supermarkets, oh my God, they are flipping brilliant.
Yeah, they are.
So if you're ever stuck for food and you go to the supermarket and you're not with someone who's gluten-free, you can get so many ready-made things that you can heat up in microwaves. You can get big...
Oh, you can just eat anything. Everything has just got so much wheat in it that it's just like, you're never going to starve in France, are you? Like,
No.
You really, really
But
not.
when you're gluten-free,
It's
you're
just
really limited.
the options just go down for anything that's pre-made. I mean, you can't even go to a boulangerie, can you?
No.
Unless you get one little tiny square.
Because normally we would get a French stick and cheese and ham and all the rest of it.
And you just like, it would be gorgeous, wouldn't it? Like, it really would.
But we ended up getting the cheese and ham and salami, but we just ended up getting a packet of gluten-free crackers that were horrible, to be honest.
Like what, sugar puffs without the sugar. And
we went back and we said to the man, is it okay if we eat our dinner? It's like, in your garden. And he said, oh, please, help yourself. Like, can I bring you anything? And we're like, no, thank you, because we were being a bit proud. And he said, well, in the morning you must join us for breakfast. And I thought, well, there's no way I'm giving up that. So we said,
no, yeah,
yes, we will,
because they knew we were gluten free. Because I did actually tick the box.
Yeah.
When we booked it,
So we sat there in the garden and
some more rice crackers coming my way.
Yeah, we sat there in the garden and we had this picnicky sort of cold dinner. And you could just see them,
She felt sorry for us, didn't she?
Did.
She brought a load of plates out for us and big wine glasses and everything else.
Yeah.
Like, so she was lovely, as if like, and they went back inside and had their lovely dinner.
They did.
Yeah.
And we could smell it. And it was like torture.
Yeah.
Because it was like, why didn't we just say yes?
I know. But anyway.
What do you reckon they were having? I bet they were having beef bourguignon.
Yeah, beef bourguignon.
Beef bourguignon with creamy mashed potatoes.
Yeah, whatever it was. Duck
green
à
beans,
l'orange.
yeah. And there's us sitting outside with our pack of salami.
Yeah, thanks, mate.
Yeah. So that was that lesson. So if you are ever in an Airbnb in France and someone offers you to, would you like us to cook dinner for you tonight for €25 each? Please say yes.
You just say yes, because it's good for the local people.
It is good for the local people.
Yeah, and it's good for them instead of going to a restaurant. It's just like, it helps.
And you'll be happy to know the next day we went and stayed with another family and we did.
Yeah, which was a friend of hers, because we were only allowed one night in this place. We wanted to spend 2 nights, but she said, you can only have one here and you have to have one there. Like,
because they had a wedding on or something, didn't they?
And they were both called Sophie, weren't they?
Yeah.
And they were both directors. She was a...
they were
amazing
gorgeous.
people.
Yeah.
They're both from Paris and both settled out in this lovely place out in the Chablais region.
The people you meet. I mean, we had dinner with the people, this next couple that we stayed with the next night at the Airbnb. Again, €25. And we were like, yep, yes, please. She said, would you like, yep.
Definitely. No questions.
Yeah.
Because we realised we were in the middle of nowhere, weren't we?
It was a good meal, wasn't it, Bri?
It was great because there was a local guy who was a chef who cooked meals and things. And he'd done all the chicken and things, didn't he? And it was just gorgeous, wasn't it? And potatoes.
They cooked for starters. We had a goat's cheese and asparagus tart.
Yeah, that was great, wasn't it?
Oh, that was
all
lovely.
on gluten-free stuff.
All gluten-free pastry.
Fantastic. Really
and it
was
had
good.
fresh herbs sprinkled on top. Oh, it just
I have a friend who is a
melted in your mouth.
celiac, and so
Yeah.
I have the pastry in the
Yeah.
freezer, and I'm like, yeah, perfect.
And then for the main course, we had chicken and potatoes in this like wine sauce and herbs, and it was just gorgeous,
Just
wasn't
wine. He even went to his special wine.
I know.
Did you see him go to the little shed at the bottom of the garden?
Yeah.
And it was like his little wine cave.
Yeah.
And he came back and brushed off the dust.
Yeah.
It was like being in a film, wasn't it?
was.
And he cracked it open. And it's like, keep going.
And it was just the four of us sitting outside
was
having
lovely,
dinner
wasn't it?
together. So it kind of, once you get over the weirdness of the fact that you're sitting with two strangers, which aren't strangers within 5
But
minutes.
they spoke great English.
Yeah,
they
it
really
was just
did.
lovely.
Yeah, and he was a professor at the university, and he studied light. And I was like, how can you study light so much? And he said, well, what I'm working on at the moment, he said, I'm working on a thing that you can basically shine a light through a blood cell, and it will tell you what is wrong with the blood cell, just for the way that the light shines through it. He said, so like COVID or something like that, he said, that's what we're working on at the moment. So you know what light comes through the other side is exactly what's wrong with that. And you just think, wow.
Yeah.
He said they were talking the nano realm that I'm working in, like, and you're like, wow.
Yeah.
I was impressed.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know?
He was a nice guy, wasn't he? He was
Yeah.
lovely. And so was she. Like Bryce said, director in Paris. And
Yeah,
anyway, I haven't
she was a
finished saying what
stage
we're having
director,
for the dinner,
wasn't
Bryce.
she? Anyway,
So
carry on.
We had the
Yes,
chicken.
carry on.
Yeah, and then the massive cheese plate comes out, doesn't it? And all the cheeses.
But that felt a bit weird, though, Liz, because me and you only ate the cheese plate.
Yeah, because they said they were on a diet.
Yeah, but they said, we've eaten a lot today, and, but please enjoy the
Well, it
cheeses.
didn't stop us, though,
No,
did
we
it?
just kept going, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, we were
Get our
starving from the
25
night
euros
before.
worth.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. We hadn't eaten for 3 days. And and then so we had all the cheese, and then out came the dessert, didn't it?
Yep.
Remember, they'd made that little. Hang on, I was trying to think what the dessert was. It was a tart. It was a blueberry tart that they'd made.
Yeah, it was like a creme brulee.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
was it?
Yeah, it was like
creme
a
brulee with
creme brulee.
blueberries
Yes,
on it.
that's right. Yeah.
Oh, it was so divine.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, they were like, "Would you like a dessert wine?" And I've never known us to say no, but we said no, didn't we,
Yeah, I
Brian?
think we did.
We're like, no.
Thanks.
We can't take any more.
Oh, it was gorgeous, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was such lovely people. Sophie, and I can't remember his name now.
No, neither can I, but yeah, they were. They were
Yeah.
beautiful people.
Yeah.
So yeah, that kind of like put us in a really nice mood,
Yes.
didn't it? And then we drove down to Calais.
So we had another 500k drive,
Mm-hmm.
thinking I'll just leave a shorter leg for the last leg. And I've driven about 400k and thought, well, better go and get fuel because it's cheaper in France anyway. And I'll fill up the car. And
Don't start yawning on the podcast.
yeah, no, as I'm thinking after that night of all that lovely food. And the reason why I'm yawning about this because I don't like remembering it, so that's my body's way of saying,
not?
don't think about this. No, and I got the fuel and literally pulled back onto the péage, and I've been going about 5 minutes, and traffic was quite busy, and I was in the middle lane, and then I could see there's a chance to get past. So I pulled out into the outside lane, and then someone pulled out in front of me. And then, and he was like, he would not accelerate. He was just like, because you're going slightly up a hill. And I think, he didn't have the speed to get past. And when I looked in my mirror, there was a car that was coming up. I was doing probably 120 kilometers an hour. And he must have been doing 150. It was a Porsche. And it was screaming up. And then this guy got past the people, and I just thought I'll drop it into fourth because we were going up the hill. I was into fourth, and I got to about 130, 135, maybe 140 nearly. I went to go into fifth gear and just missed the gear a little bit because I was so looking in my mirror at the same time because I thought he's still coming up at the same speed and he's not really braking because I was about to pull in. And I just revved as I missed the gear because I was concentrating on something else, and it only revved up to about 6,000 revs, and just all the lights came on the dashboard, which meant the engine had switched off, so I left the clutch in, luckily, because I didn't know what had happened, and I just left the clutch in and just literally then had to coast all the way into the side and try to turn the engine over while I was coasting to see if it would start again with the clutch in, and realizing it's just everything was completely dead.
God.
And so going from 135, 140k just to get past those cars and then pull back in, because we weren't speeding by any stretch of the imagination on the whole journey.
No.
You know, you'd only push it. The speed limit is 130k. So, I might have gone over just a bit just to pull past the cars because this car was coming up so quick behind. And pulled in. You just think your world just caves in instantly, because you just think, shit, I'm 100k outside of Calais. That's all we had to get. We were meeting our friend Bert for the night, weren't we?
Yeah.
We had loads of time. We were on a good schedule. We weren't pushing the car too hard.
So Calais is where you get the ferry.
Calais is where you get the shuttle
back to England.
Yeah, the shuttle, the Channel Tunnel, back to England. And so we're coasting along. I'm just thinking if there's on the hard shoulder, because it did have a hard shoulder, as in a fourth lane. And some of the peages in Europe don't. They have little lay-bys, and I was just coasting along, and I could see like a pull-in where the emergency services come on, and I thought, oh, that'll just be a bit safer. So I pulled in there. Obviously, still leaving enough room for emergency services to get through, but it was just like not in the line of traffic. And I went to start it again, and it was dead, and I just stopped and thought, what's gone on here? Is it an electrical fault, or has the engine seized? I'm thinking more seized because of the revs, and I just saw it. 6,000 revs isn't a lot for an engine. That engine, I think the cutout is around about 6,800, which is just the ignition. It won't let you rev over that sort of revs, So I'm not over revving it, and so my mind's racing 10 to the dozen, thinking what's gone on. I went to start it again after about 2 minutes because I'm thinking, shit, I'm going to have to call the RAC or the AA, the European breakdown cover, and get us recovered, because I'm going to have to lift the bonnet on the car and have a quick peek in case something's fallen off, like a wire or something. And I went to start it again, and it cranked really slowly. I don't know if you can remember it, but it just sort of cranked super slowly, and just bang, it came back into life. And I thought, oh, wow. So I started to pull slowly forward.
Were you still on the motorway?
Yeah, we were still on the motorway on the hard shoulder, and then it just stopped again.
Oh, God.
And the lights came back on at about 70k or something like that. Pulled it over at the side, turned it over again, and it started again. And I just thought, right. And literally, we were less than a kilometre to the exit. So I just crawled along the hard shoulder at 70k, but I could hear a knock in the engine, and I'm thinking, okay, so something's, one of the shims or something has slipped on the cam, or something has happened on the cam on the crankshaft, and it definitely had seized because I could hear the way it was turning over, so I knew it wasn't an electrical fault. So anyway, we got off the motorway and realised, and then I listened to the engine, pulled over, and basically it was like time to lift the bonnet, rev the engine up, and I thought, yeah, there's definitely a bad knocking on the engine. So I'm thinking, yeah, do I stop and call the AA out, or do I just?
Well, it's the RAC, wasn't it?
It was the RAC or AA. I'm just saying. I'm saying the AA mainly for people in New Zealand and stuff. It just means the Automobile Association or the Royal Automobile Club.
Yeah.
So anyway, I realised that I could drive it still, and it was still perfect to drive, safe to drive. It just, you couldn't rev it over 2,000 revs without a really nasty knocking sound. So we limped basically to Calais. Got to Bert's. We were about an hour late, weren't we?
Yeah, Bert is our friend that's a member of our community group, and he's just become a really good friend of ours.
Yeah.
His dad lives in Calais, and we'd arranged
got a farmhouse there,
months ago to meet us there and spend the night with us. So he was so understanding. He's a guy. He's actually a car journalist, or he was a car journalist.
Ex-car journalist. Yeah.
So he knows loads about cars, and if anyone we could have gone and stayed with that night would have been more, no one more would have been empathetic or understanding than Bert would have been, because it was like he knew what we were going through, or certainly what you were going through. I mean, I didn't know the extent of it. I just thought, oh, the car's broken, but
no, and that's
I could tell that you were really, really stressed, and you wouldn't answer my questions. I was like, What does it mean? And you were like, I don't know, Liz. I don't know what it means.
Well, it's a hard thing to know because you're in a 30-year-old car. I know we're covered that the car would be taken back to England. And so I phoned the European cover breakdown, European breakdown cover company up and said to them, what's the situation in getting the car back to England? And they said, oh, we can take it back. We can put you on the Eurostar tomorrow and you'll be back in England and we can give you a hire car over there. He said, but just to let you know, it'll probably take 6 weeks to get the car back over the way things are. And I'm like, why? He said, because that's the way we ship them. You know, we get a shipment of cars and then they get shipped. And so you're talking at least 6 weeks.
What does he mean, the way things are? What does that mean?
Just the way things are. That's what we do. That's how we do it. Like, you know, it's that time of year basically, which is, don't forget, this is like 6th of July. And it's the busy, silly season coming up, like, you know, of tourism, isn't it? So he just said that. So as long as you're happy with that, and I knew we had to be back in Italy within 3 weeks.
Yeah, because basically we've taken a house sit, which is where we are now, which we'll talk to you about in the next podcast. But we've taken a house sit in Italy. We signed up for a house sit, committed to a 6-week house sit in Tuscany in Italy, and we had to be back here by the, 27th of July.
27th of July.
Yeah.
This is the 7th of July. So when I'm saying 3 weeks,
yeah,
it's 28th of July, actually. It was exactly 3 weeks. So when you think you've got a classic car, which is 30 years old, it needs an engine rebuild. And you're like, how or who was going to do
hang
that?
on. Did you know it needed an engine build?
The sound that it was making, I knew it was I wanted it to just be something simple on the camshaft, but the noise was too low down. It was big end knock, and that to me is the shims on the big ends which clamp it around the or shimming out from the cam light, you know, the crankshaft, and that to me that's what it sounded like was knocking. So something's gone wrong when the crank is turning. It's like dunk, 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 and it really knocks badly, like, you know. So I knew something had happened quite nasty in the engine, like, you know.
What did you feel like, Bri?
Oh, you feel like shit, just for the fact that it's like, oh, should I just taken it easy for the last bit? Would it have made any difference? When I spoke to the guy afterwards, he said it wouldn't have made any difference. But at the time, your mind is saying, I shouldn't have just. Why did I ever take that last car? Like, you know, why didn't I just stay in the middle lane? We were whipping along at 120k an hour. What's the problem? Like, you know, you only had 100k to go, and you're on time.
It was running so well.
I know, and it's just like it's a GTI. It
so
should
nicely.
take it, like, you know, and it's a rebuilt engine, so you would imagine it's.
Did
good.
you just blame yourself?
You do, yeah, of course you do. You know, it's like I shouldn't have done it. I shouldn't have, but it's no different. What, when and where? You know, when I was driving around the mountains in Greece, you know, I was pushing it. You know, it was like we were, you know, I was revving it up round to the rev limiter sometimes just to get round these bends and just give it a bit of a blast, like, you know, just for the fun of it, like, you know. Nobody else on the road. It was great. But so you then blame yourself at the last bit, which is, that's human nature, isn't it? You know, if I'd only done this, if I'd only done that, well, it was going to go, you know, it was just, when would have it gone? You know, would have it gone on the way back down to Italy? Who knows? So
finish off the story, and then I've got a couple of questions I want to ask you.
So anyway, I then make the decision to think, do you know what's the best thing to do is actually, I can still drive. I've just driven at 100k. Another 100k is not going to make any difference. I'll get it back into England, and then we can decide what to do once we get back into England. So we got on the Channel Tunnel the next day, drove over. I drove it up to our friends and phoned the
just outside London,
the breakdown cover again, and just said, can you come and collect it? I'm not happy to drive it anymore because it sounds like it's going to really do more damage, and I don't want to do more damage to the engine than this, like, you know. And they were brilliant. They came along, picked the car up, and I'd had a chance to sleep on it and figure out, who do I send this car to? So before I was buying the car, I'd done a lot of research on, not a lot of research, but just watched videos on people who had owned 205 GTIs in the current day. Like, you know, and there's this one guy swapped his BMW for this guy. Don't forget, this was a super reliable car in its time. Super reliable. The engine is basically bulletproof. That's what made it into the Hall of Fame. Like, you know, because if it it didn't used to break down. It was a good car, like, you know, apart from a bit of rust and a few other things. You know, for a 1980s designed car, it was very, very good. And I'd seen this one, literally a 2-minute clip of this guy taking it to a garage in the Midlands somewhere.
In England.
In England. So I then had to find this video that when we were on the Channel Tunnel, because for some reason you get good signal on the Channel Tunnel. You get 4G right the way through, like, you know. And I watched this film again, this video again, and it was called, there's a company called Pug One Off, PUG 1, as in the number 1 off. So I'd seen this on YouTube, and this guy had been interviewed literally for a minute or two. He's a guy called Matt, and I just thought, that's the guy I need to send it to. Because he is a specialist for Peugeot and Citroen cars, especially the classic ones or the older ones. And I know for a fact this guy is a 205 GTI enthusiast, like, you know. He probably races them and stuff like that.
Did he have a big YouTube channel or something?
No, it was the guy. I can't remember.
He was just on a big YouTube channel.
His YouTube channel. That's what he did. He basically this is the car I've got at the moment. The guy has just bought a Peugeot 106 Rally, and that's his latest car. Like, you know. So anyway, I thought that's where I need to go. So I go onto the website. Or currently the website is being rebuilt. You know, you just think, oh shit, you know, I don't even know who these guys are. I need a phone number. But luckily on the front page there was a phone number. And
is this before the tow truck had come and taken the car away?
This is before. This is when you're sitting in the Channel Tunnel. This is on the Channel Tunnel, and I'm deciding where and how and what do I do. Like, you know,
say, Brian, now I know all this that you were going through your brain. You seemed pretty calm at the time. You were just like, you only said one time, you're like, just let me figure this out, Liz.
Yeah, but that's because I'm thinking of all the things, like, we need to be back, you know, and who can do it. I don't want to send it down to Cornwall, just for the fact that I don't know enough.
Well, we didn't know anyone. We didn't know any mechanics,
we haven't lived there for 20 odd years, or 30 years nearly.
I know, we phoned my brother and he's like, oh, well, I don't know. I know him, but I don't know if he's any good.
Tinker Tim to do something down the road, and he works in a spray shop, but he's saying that, well, actually that sort of car needs to go to someone who's got the bits, and he's just like, you know what, that's exactly what I'm going to get off everybody. So I go through my policy on the breakdown cover and thinking they'll tow me to any garage of my choice in the UK.
That's brilliant,
and you think, wow. You know, for £25 a month, this is brilliant. I was going
to say, how much did this cover cost you to have this?
It's £25 a month.
So £25 a month, and that just covers you in England, does it?
Yes, that one did, because the European one couldn't get us back for six months. That was a completely different cover, like, you know. Out
of interest, how much did the European cover cost?
It was about £350 or something like that.
For the whole trip?
Yeah, for the 6. It gives you cover for 12 months, up to 90 days or something like that.
That's brilliant, isn't it?
It is, because we got 350.
Yeah, we already claimed €350 euros off them already, didn't we?
For the faults on the other things. Yeah. Like, you know? And anyway, this one covers you for up to £500 worth of garage repairs and stuff, like, you know. So I'm thinking, all right, that's going to be worth it for that as well, like, you know. So you have to take your hat off to these people. It's all insurance at the end of the day. That's what you're paying for.
So how did you get Pug's number?
So his number was there. Once we got back.
Hang on, I thought you said the website was down.
Yeah, it was down, but there was a number on there. And they're in One Boundary Road in Berkeley, I think the name of the place is. Pug One Off. I can't say enough about them because they were just absolutely brilliant. So yeah. I phoned them up as soon as we got back into England, phoned them up and just said, hey, listen, you know, I'm from New Zealand. I'm in a bit of a predicament. I've just driven this fully refurbished car from, you know, Greece, England to Greece and back again. It's keeled over at the last bit. It's got me back home. Is there any chance you could have a look at this for me? Because I want to send the car with the AA up to you tonight. I said, it's going to be with you about 10 o'clock tonight. I said, they will leave the key, you know, in the letterbox and this, that and the other, or whatever, however you want to do it, like, you know. So she said, let me just, there's a girl called Lucy, which unknown to me is Matt's wife. It's Louise or Lucy, one of the two. And she said, I'll have a word with the workshop. And she came back in within a minute or so and she said, yes, we'll have a go. Oh. We'll have a go, like, you know. And I think, oh, thank you so much. I said, listen, the AA is going to come up tonight. She said, well, I'm going to get Matt to give you a call because he's busy at the moment. And so we're then awaiting now to be picked up with the breakdown recovery. Matt calls me back and goes, "Hey, Brian, yeah, we'll have a good look at this for you. Hopefully we can do something."
Did you tell him that you needed it back by?
Yeah, I said, "Listen, I've got to be leaving within just over 2 weeks." I said, "I've got a ferry booked for the what was it, the 24th?
Yeah, 24th of July.
Not ferry.
We've got to be in Italy by the 27th.
I just said I've got to be there, so I said I need 3 days to get there, So he said, "Yep, we'll have a go." He said, "Just put your key in an envelope and get the AA guy or the breakdown cover guy to drop the car outside the workshops." He said, "You can't really miss it." Great, and I think yes, fantastic. So again, the AA were fantastic with us.
It's horrible when we saw them.
They couldn't. But they couldn't get us a car, could they?
Yeah, but I'm just saying, let's just hold it there a minute, because the AA turns up with this big tow truck. They put the little red car on the back of the tow truck. It was so sad. Where it was literally like you see in the films, when they're towing the old car away.
No, but it got us back to England.
Oh, right. I know it did. But I'm just saying, as I watched it being towed away along those little country lanes, we got dropped off at our friend's. Our friend was there to meet us, thank goodness. And we watched as the tow truck just drove down the lane and out of sight. And I felt like crying.
It was horrible, wasn't it?
Because it was just like part of us was going, wasn't it?
Yeah, because it was just like it'd been so good and such an experience with so many lovely people doing so many great things. That car, I've never known a car in all my time being given so much attention by 3 different countries. Do
you know what, Bri? I'm a little bit worried about you selling that car, because I'm looking at you now. You're sitting opposite me. In your white chair. We've got 2 white chairs and we're facing each other. And this is the second time now you've had tears in your eyes.
Well, you nearly did as well.
No, Bri. Listen, you don't have to tell me about crying.
Yeah.
I'm constantly the one that cries on the podcast, but I've never seen you get so emotional. And I'm wondering, how is it going to feel when you come to sell this little car?
I know.
That's twice you've nearly cried now, Bri.
I don't think we've ever had such a buttock-clenching experience of... I picked a car up. Let's just go back to when I picked a car up, I bought on the internet, and I was supposed to, if COVID hadn't happened and all these things, we were supposed to drive it in England for a month. Go and see family and all those things,
test
driving it, just, get to a garage, get underneath it, have a look at it. I literally picked it up.
Got on the ferry
the next day.
Yeah.
And that's what was so bad. And then that's when, we got to Richelieu, the Loire Valley. It was like, this car needs some looking at, because quite a few of the bolts have come loose.
But it did us all right, Bri. Yes, it did have a few little problems, but it did us all right.
You're going to with a restored car.
It got us all the way to Greece and back, didn't it?
Yeah.
So, I can understand why you would feel...
Yeah.
Sad and maybe responsible and all the rest of it, but I think that it was a fantastic buy on your side.
Yeah, but that side of it,
it's been an amazing trip. Anyway, before we start closing it off, we are getting near to time now. But we got a hire car, didn't we?
We eventually got a hire car. Getting a hire car in the UK at the moment, it seems to be rather hard, because there's not that many new cars available because of what's going on in Ukraine with wiring looms and things like this.
What?
Wiring looms.
What does that mean?
Well, one of the main factories that manufactures wiring looms for cars.
A
wiring loom is the wiring system that goes in a car. It's all made up in a factory, and then literally you put it into the car and all the things are in the right place to plug into all the equipment and everything. So it's a wiring loom. So when you put your brake lights on, the brake lights come on.
Right.
When you put your brakes on, you flick a switch, the lights come on. That's the wiring loom that puts all the electric all around the car. So, talking to a guy in Cornwall, and he was just telling me, a Volkswagen, Audi, Bentley, all these cars, lots of companies use this one big factory in the Ukraine, and obviously it's been bombed, and so there's been a shortage of cars. So the hire car companies sold all the cars in COVID, and now they're trying to buy more cars. They can't get the cars they want. So there's this kind of a shortage on cars, and it's the height of the season, like when people's cars are breaking down for going on holiday.
Do you know what the hardest thing was? We did get a hire car in the end. We got a hire car. The AA paid for it. They were absolutely amazing. We can't say enough about them.
The AA were great. Enterprise Car Rental were great. They bent over backwards for us. they were going to bring someone to drive it out, but it was actually easier for us to go in and pick the car up. What was the ferry going out? And so those all the people that we dealt with in the UK were brilliant. Yeah, they were. Yeah. And we spent 2 weeks in Cornwall in the hire car. They let me extend the rental car as long as we needed it, so they didn't say, no, we've got to have that car back now.
So I think while we're on a podcast, I think we should just say here and now, give a big shout out to Pug
One Off.
Yeah.
They get a huge shout out.
Yeah. If you ever need a car fixing, a classic Peugeot car.
Yeah, or any Peugeot or Citroen or whatever.
The AA.
The AA
Automobile Association.
We loved him, didn't we? That guy?
We did. They were flipping brilliant.
He was great.
Couldn't do it. He was just a lovely guy who came and picked us up, and he made us feel all safe.
He phoned around about 10 car rental companies in the area, from Luton to everywhere else,
Yeah. The other big shout out is national car people.
Yes, Enterprise, not National.
Oh, Enterprise.
Yeah, it is.
Well, the hardest part was after we'd had the car towed off and we'd been given the okay for the hire car. Mm-hmm. We were in a friend's house who we don't know them that well. We've only met them. We met them over the internet, and we went to stay with them 3 months ago. Yeah. She's lovely, absolutely gorgeous girl, called Zoe, and we stayed with her. And very kindly, she opened her home again to us on our way back from Europe and said, "Come and stay with us, Liz. You can stay as long as you like." But that was a really hard night that night, because me and you just felt like bawling our eyes out and saying to each other, "Oh my God, what's happened to the car? How much is it going to cost? And what are we going to do? And how are we going to get..." And we couldn't. Yeah. We had to just put on this.
This is what's weird, is people go, "What was the problem?" And you go, "We're the other side of the world."
I know.
It's not where we live anymore. No. I don't have... we've got family down in Cornwall.
Plus our life savings have been invested into it,
it's
right?
Not like, but it's like...
they were.
Yeah, but it's like, you're 200 miles from your family. And 350k, whatever it is, from your family, and you're like, what are you going to do next? You're the other side of the world, and yes, you've invested money into this car, so what are you going to do? And
that's more emotional than anything else.
That's what I say.
It
was just like, it was a kick in the teeth.
Yeah,
because it was just like, oh shit,
Did you at any time think? So we got the hire car and we spent the next 2 weeks going around and seeing family and being with the kids and all the rest of it. We're not going to talk about that on this podcast. We'll save that for another podcast. Actually, next week, or the next podcast that we do is going to be titled "What We Love About the UK and What We Actually Can't Stand," and that is going to be about those 3 weeks that we spent in the UK.
In the UK,
because in England, we were only in England. We didn't go to
Scotland or Wales or anywhere, did we?
So look out for that.
Mainly,
podcast.
Most of it was in Cornwall. Not quite. We were up in London.
But was there any time within that time that we were driving around in our little hire car, waiting for the car to be fixed? Did you ever think, we're not going to get this back? We're not going to get this car back. We're not going to make it to Italy.
There was a lot, which I was thinking, realistically, we need to look about, even if it was a case of flying you down there just to take the... fly you to Pisa, because we're not too far from Pisa at the moment, and there's a seagull eating the cat food.
Yeah, there is.
We're actually looking at, it's just flown down.
If you can hear that tapping, it's eating the cat food.
It's eating the cat food.
We're sitting outside on the terrace of our house sit. We're when we show you the view, you're just going to be blown away. You'll get to see the view when we do one for YouTube. But we're overlooking the beautiful ocean. What is that called? The Mediterranean.
That's the Mediterranean, yeah.
Sorry, the Mediterranean. And
with a big sulphur lagoon in the distance.
It's just gorgeous. It's absolutely gorgeous. And we're sitting on the terrace, and the cat food, the cat biscuit.
The stray cat food it is.
The stray cat food biscuit holder is sitting outside, and the seagull has just flown down, and he's pecking all the biscuits out there.
And he's just looking at it as if what's the problem?
Yeah.
So
yes.
So we go to... Eventually, yes, I thought the car wouldn't be ready. Like, say, fly you to Pisa, and I would drive,
but that didn't
drive
happen.
down. It didn't happen, no, because Pug One Off,
pulled all the stops out.
We went up on the Wednesday.
We had a Channel Tunnel booked for the Monday, and they said the car would be ready.
We had it booked for the Friday. So that...
Friday, was it?
To give us that little bit longer time. But, we went up on the Wednesday to see the car. The car, when I got there on the Wednesday, it was about 2:00 when I got there to Pug One Off for the first time to meet them.
Was it weird when you saw him?
Yes, it was. Yeah,
I feel like you were meeting
I'd
this
seen
YouTube
seen a guy on YouTube. He wasn't such a star, but it's just I'd
it's
seen
weird,
him on
isn't it?
YouTube, like and you just think, oh wow. So you meet him. The engine had just gone back in to the car, and the car was still on the ramp when I got there, and he said like everything's gone good. And there's no reason why we won't be finished by tomorrow,
Can I just ask, so it's clear, were you given regular updates throughout the 2 weeks?
I phoned him a few
How long
times.
did they have it all together? 2 weeks,
Less than around 2 weeks.
2
yes.
weeks.
Yeah,
And you phoned them regularly and they gave you updates?
just give me an update. I just said to him when I went to see him the last time, on that first time, I just said, what actually happened, Matt? And he said, what it was, he said, it was a mismatch of pistons to the crank. Okay, so when they rebuilt the engine, what it is, he said, they put the pistons from the earlier 1.9 engine. He said this was the catalyst, as in it had a catalytic converter on it. He said, so they mismatched the pistons to the crank. He said, you're only talking like thousandths of a mil or whatever it is, or an inch. He said, but it was enough that piston number 2, he said, you wouldn't have known this when you were driving it. He said, but that con rod would have been glowing red. He said, because it just wasn't matched right to the crank light. He said, so you wouldn't have known this was happening. He said, so probably because you just blipped the rev. He said it would have got even hotter. He said, and piston number 2 seized on the crank. He said, so it wouldn't move up or down. He said, it just stopped instantly, He said, luckily, it probably stopped in the oil, which then cooled it down again. And he said, so that meant you could start it up and it unseized. He said, but that's when the damage happened. He said, you were very, very close that the engine probably would have exploded.
Oh, my God, imagine that.
He said that it would have obliterated the whole engine, He said, so you were very, very close, to it actually exploding. He said, but he said, so what we've had to do is we've replaced the crank, we've replaced the pistons with balanced pistons and the correct pistons to the crank. He said, so it's an easy mistake that he said, I've seen it before with recon engines. He said, you just got to match everything. It's got to be super right. You get all the new parts, but are the parts right? They'll fit the engine, but they're not right for that particular model that late on. And that's the difference of taking it to a specialist. They know these things,
Before you tell me the whopping price that we had to pay,
yeah.
What was it done by? The person that we bought this car off then, was it done by an amateur or was it just done by someone who was...
No, it's not an amateur. This guy was an engineer. I don't know really that much about it, but other than someone's rebuilt something.
Yeah, but what you're saying is Pug One said to you, it's an easy mistake to make.
It's a mistake. He's not an easy mistake. It's a mistake he's seen before.
Oh, okay.
So, and yeah, so the fact is he flagged it up what it was. I saw the crankshaft with the very burnt looking shim on piston number 2. And so yeah, that was the thing. He said that's going in the bin, that crankshaft. He said because it's we can't fix that one.
Did you ever feel like ringing up the original guy that you bought it off and
No,
saying, why have you done this?
Because he wouldn't have known, the guy who sold it. They wouldn't have known that. The engine worked. It
drove to Greasenback
flawlessly, but unknown to me, there was obviously something that was whirring in the engine,
Okay, so now it's been looked at. Has it been rebuilt?
The engine has been rebuilt.
By a complete and utter specialist, top of the game guy who can't get better than him.
You just can't thank him enough for what he did, because he had all the stuff on the shelf. And who's got that sort of stuff on the shelf?
Right.
To actually do what he could do,
Before you tell me the final price, was there any time? What did he give you any indication? Did he go, "Oh, this is going to be a big bill," or did he say?
No.
So you had no idea.
I had no idea what it was going to cost. I had a rough idea in my head. I even said to you, I had a rough idea of what it was going to cost, didn't I?
Right. What was the final bill?
£3,600.
£3,600,
which is around about $4,000.
Is it?
Yeah.
I'm just having a look
for a rebuild of an engine.
$4,300, €4,200, £3,600.
Yeah.
But this is the biggest, 6,900 New Zealand dollars, Bri. 7,000 New Zealand dollars.
It probably would have cost 10,000 in New Zealand. because you wouldn't have got the parts. Who would have had the parts? So you look at it like that. Yeah, but the thing is, this guy did it within 2 weeks.
I know.
And not only that, he fixed a bunch of other bits on the car as well. Like,
I know. I'm not.
So it wasn't just the engine rebuild, was it? Like, the engine rebuild probably would have cost £3,000, and the £600 was fixing all other bits and bobs on an old car.
It was horrible when they first told us, though, wasn't it, Brian?
Yeah.
Were you dreading coming home and telling me how much it was?
Well,
I was waiting in the Airbnb.
You were in outside, weren't you?
No, I was in the Airbnb. Oh, no, I wasn't.
You were in the hire car, because the hire car had to go back.
Were you dreading telling me?
No, not really, because at the end of the day, Liz, it's what it is, isn't it? Like, and it's even better now than what it was before.
Oh yeah, it is.
100%.
It's amazing.
It just feels more powerful. It feels everything.
Okay, this is the way we're going to look at it, and this is the way we did look at it. So you might be thinking, oh, you must just feel. And don't get me wrong, we were gutted, weren't we, Brian? We were
it's a kick in the teeth.
Yeah.
It's an expense that the money you save on house sitting, you could have just gone and stayed in a hotel,
Yeah.
So anyway,
but I'm just saying, Brian. I know it's easy to anyway, but you've got to say how you feel, and the way we looked at it was, we said. Brian bought the car cheaper because it was locked down, and you said that they were being sold cheaper, didn't you? That you got it for a bit of a bargain.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't a bargain. It was cheaper than what the advertised price was. Like,
so hopefully that's going to pay off a little bit. So even if you got it $2,000 cheaper, that brings that back down by $2,000. We've done all this house sitting, so we've saved money by doing that. So that's saved it.
Yeah.
And hopefully when we come to sell it, because now it's got such a super duper engine that's been done by this guy.
Yeah. And it's got a bit of pedigree. The fact is, it's just driven to Italy non-stop and absolutely flew down here. Like, it was just perfect. It's gone over the Alps again. And it's all, that's the thing is when you get these reconditioned things, you don't know what it is. It could do anything. A reconditioned car could be, it's only as good as the person who's reconditioned it. It's not been done by Peugeot, is it? Like, at the end of the day,
it's just a gamble, isn't it?
Gamble.
That you take.
It's one of those things.
But you know what, Bri? I think it was. I know. Don't get me wrong. It's just the bill and everything and the money has just been quite. It's been scary because it's like 7,000 New Zealand dollars. That's nearly the cost of all our flights. Not quite, but we've spent $10,000 on the flights.
It's more than your flights back home, isn't it?
Yeah. But the experience. The adventure that we have had in that little red car, and to drive down to Greece and back, and all the stories that we've got, and to be with the kids driving around Greece, and I wouldn't change it for the world.
No, you wouldn't. I wouldn't change. That's what I'm saying. It's like it's almost like but the experience has been seeing that Italian guy when we were driving just past Genoa. And he's at the side of us, and we're just about to go into before we went in that tunnel, like and he's looking at us and kissing his hands and pointing them at you, like throwing them at you as if like fantastico, like and just like loves the car.
Bellissimo.
Yeah, and he's shouting through to you and giving you a thumbs up.
Should have just gone back with the letter 7 like that, with your fingers pointing in a 7.
7,000 euros.
No, 7,000 New Zealand dollars.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was the story, and we got it back with literally 2 days to spare. We got on the Eurotunnel. We drove from France, through France, over the Alps again, down to Italy, and we are now sitting here in our house sit. We made it, and it was really funny because the night we turned up to see the people, they were like, "Oh, have you had a good trip?" And we were like, "If only you knew what we've done,
what
to get
we've been
here.
through in the last 3 weeks."
Yeah.
It was huge. That side of it was stressy, but even now I can't believe what we did.
No.
In that time scale.
No.
To not know these people, you've never met them before, you're not a customer of them before, and you're asking them to pull the stops out, stop what they're doing, and help you.
Yeah, fix your car.
And I think that's what is so heartwarming, because you can be quite damning about the UK at times, and bloody this, it rains all the time, and all these people are bloody miserable. And you meet people like that, and it's just like, wow, there are some good people still out there.
Of course there are, yeah.
That's what I mean. It's just like, and it makes you glad.
Nothing wrong with the UK people, right?
No, I'm not saying that in that way. But lots of people, doubt them, don't they?
Yeah, saying, they're moaning and all stuff like that. They like alcohol.
Yeah. watch football.
Okay, so there you go then. That's
Yep.
what we've been up to. Can I just ask before we go, Bri?
Yep.
Is there any a time that you've sat there and just thought, I wish I hadn't bought this car?
Yes.
I thought you were going to say no.
Yeah, well, there is, because you just go, there's times when you just think, oh my God, it would have been easy to hire a car.
Really?
You know? Well, it would be. But would it have been as much fun? I don't think so.
The answer's no, Brian.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. So you have those doubts. You said was ever been a time where you said, well, of course, that doubt crosses your mind. But like I just said a minute ago, to see those people and to have the experiences and having the three, Sonny and Tess and Finlay in the back of the car in Greece, going out for the night and going for great evening drives and going to the beach in it. And
they were the memories. They were just brilliant memories, weren't they?
Yeah. In a bumpy old car, that's, it's just like, wow.
So we're on part 2 of our adventure now. We're house sitting in Italy. We're gonna tell you all about that, because we've had so many people say to us, look, how on earth are you doing this? And just to go back, just to reiterate, so you understand before we go, the reason we couldn't, you might just be thinking there, why didn't you just cancel your house sit? Why did you put yourself through all this pressure and, all this? Listen, when you're a house sitter and you do lots of house sitting, you rely solely on reviews from people. And, yes, we could have phoned these people and said, oh, we can't make it. And they might not have given us a bad review, and I'm sure they wouldn't have given us a bad review. But what it is you don't want to let people down. You want to be known as a reliable person who goes house sitting, so that you can get more and more house sits as you go along. And to commit to a 6-week house sit, these people have gone over to the States to see their family. So to commit to a 6-week house sit, for them to put everything in place and then for us to turn around and go, oh, sorry, we can't make it, our car's broke down. We just couldn't do it. We just were not prepared to do that to them.
No, we wouldn't do that to someone.
No, we wouldn't.
You wouldn't.
So that's why we pulled out all the stops, and
we pulled out the stops. They pulled out the stops, and everyone. It just worked. It just worked, and that's it. That's just because you make the decision. Sometimes you got to stick with it, and hopefully it works. If it doesn't, was it the right decision? No, it's a decision you made. That's something I learned the other day. And you have to live with that decision, and you have to work with that decision and make that decision work for you. Hopefully,
yeah. And I think you have made it work 100%.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
All
right, Bri. Let's go and get our dinner now, then, shall we?
Hey. Yeah.
So until next time, we'll catch you next time. And thank you so much for this extra long podcast, for being so patient and
patient listening to us.
Being with us,
it's going to be an hour and a half podcast.
I hope we haven't rambled too much, but sending you lots of love. And
yes, from Italy, Porto Santo Stefano. If you're still here, don't forget Kia Kaha, which is stay strong, because sometimes you really do need to stay strong. And Kia U, stay true to yourself, fellas. I think we say bye on that point.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.
Hi guys, this is Liz. If you're enjoying this podcast, then I'd love it if you considered signing up to my weekly email newsletter. This is a newsletter where I send out all the details of what's going on in our lives with the kids and with travel. And right now I'm in the middle of writing a book about traveling the world with a family. And I share all the details, the good, the bad, and the absolute hilarious. I don't share this with anyone else, only the people that have committed and signed up to my email newsletter. If that sounds like something you would love to do, and you'd like to get to know me better, then sign up after you've listened to this podcast by going to www.itsadrama.com/hello. That's www.itsadrama.com/hello. I really look forward to getting to know you better. Thank you so much for joining us this week on the podcast. We have loved having you here.
If you guys could subscribe to us on iTunes and leave us a 5-star review.
Oh yeah, that would be nice.
That would be absolutely amazing. And make sure to share the podcast with your friends.
And if you'd like to hop over to the blog, find one of the little boxes that ask you to drop your email. I will send you a newsletter every week letting you know when we've released our new podcast. That will go straight into your inbox. So it's www.itsadrama.com.
All right, guys, enjoy the rest of your day, and we will see you next week for another podcast.
Look forward to it. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.